Malcolm Nance, great stuff, great stuff. Yes, sir. Hello.
You notice I'm sitting outside
Yes.
because I went for a run this morning. I literally have the roses behind me. We got to stop doom scrolling and start hitting outside like your biker chieftain there you have, Major Payne or whatever his name
Major
is.
Taylor. And also
Major
Bella
Taylor.
Bella always says, go touch grass.
Please.
Just shut up and go touch grass.
Please, you'll feel better.
Yeah, and have an ice cream.
I gotta.
An ice cream sandwich. Yes.
I gotta ask you, Sailor, about them taking Harvey Milk, the name off the Navy ship, and they said yes, it's deliberately because of Pride Month.
Yes.
Right. Yes, they did it deliberately. Oh, he's wiping his brow.
No, his bandwidth is a little low, so he might be a little laggy.
Is it?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes,
go
we
ahead.
can hear you now. Yes.
Good. God, you just whipped that out to make me angry, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
I mean, this is a disgrace. It's a disgrace. We've never changed the names of our warships.
Yeah.
And this happens to be what we call a USNS ship, right? A U.S. Navy supply vessel. And they're named after famous Americans who have served in the armed forces. Harvey Milk was a Navy dive officer. He was a Navy underwater diving instructor. I mean, you know, the kind that do salvage. He deserves that. And to come out and say, we deliberately are going to change that on the first day of Pride Month, right, is double fingers up to the entire gay community. There have always been gays, lesbians, transgendered, queer people in the armed forces going back to the first days of the revolution. You're never going to stop that. They just never said it out loud, but they were always there and serving with honor. We have Medal of Honor winners. We have SEALs who are transgender. So for this to come out and say, we're going to be openly bigoted, sexist, and racist and change the name of the ship. They're talking about doing that to the Thurgood
Marshall, Thurgood, Harriet
Marshall?
Tubman,
To the Harriet Tubman?
Yeah. Malcolm, while we're on in Pride
I was in a good mood until just a minute ago.
I'm sorry. But, you know, can I just say also in Pride Month, you retweeted this heartbreaking statement from Jonathan Joss's husband about his death. So you probably heard San Antonio police have said it's not a hate crime. Monica said they were threatened that their house would be burned down. Then it was burned down. They came to see the remains of the house and found the skull of their dog and his leash strategically placed. As they grieved, a neighbor came and shot at them. Jonathan pushed his husband out of the way and was shot fatally. It was by definition a hate crime. I mean, I don't know where we're at when you can go, that's not a hate crime.
Absolutely. And then, you know, the police, I have bad feelings about this story. I think they're going to be trying to push it down to manslaughter. You know what? People, I'm just flabbergasted these days because we've become, as an official policy, a white supremacist nation. Yeah. All right? And that includes being bigoted against people of color, against gays, against Jews, and all the rest of it. And 120 days ago, you could recognize this country. I don't recognize this country now. And, you know, we've got ICE agents wearing masks like Klan hoods, right, to literally, deliberately intimidate people.
San Diego.
And to not show their faces.
You know what? Since you brought, I want to talk about happier things like Ukraine, but San Diego. Now that you brought it up, Ken said.
In Balboa Park.
Ken said if these videos out of San Diego are legit, the national media should be all over it. Forget the resistance part. Focus on the fact that the so-called ICE agents are driving in what look like private vehicles, wearing camouflage they bought from Spirit Halloween, and one of them's carrying a paintball gun. If these are federal agents, that's a problem. If they aren't federal agents, it's a bigger problem. Right?
Yeah, well, I think they're federal agents. What they saw was a pepper ball gun, which is used in riot control. The problem is these people don't identify themselves because they're the ICE is an intimidation force. And I'm going to say this on the record now. I've had it out with Glenn Kirshner over this on my podcast. That body needs to be, that organization, when Congress comes back in, if we can take control of Congress, needs to be defunded and rebuilt, restructured from the ground up, or just eliminated.
Yeah.
As a body. They have become a paramilitary secret police now.
Yeah.
All right. And I don't know who they are. I mean, people, you come to my door armed and not showing identification except for a patch that you can buy on eBay or a jacket that you can buy,
Yeah.
like you said, at a costume store, and you think that you're going to roll up on innocent Americans, someone is going to be killed here. There's going to be a gun battle.
Yeah.
Where they say, I didn't know who these guys were, and I thought that they were just gang members or neo-Nazis. But you know what? They could be gang members or neo-Nazis. What if they're deputized Proud Boys? I'm an intelligence professional.
Oops. Oh dear. We're playing Freezy Frame.
Yeah.
It's his impression of Mr. Freeze.
Oh.
Huh? Oh, come back to me, Malcolm.
And I now have to go back. All right, I'm with you.
All right, you're back. All right, listen, let's talk about happier things.
You froze there for a second, but now you're back.
Let's talk about this.
I'm going to turn the
All right, this military
camera off.
operation.
Maybe the audio.
Okay,
gets
There you
better.
go.
Yeah, there we
This
go.
military operation in Ukraine, I could talk to you about this all day. And also, I know Trump saw this because it was on Fox News.
Oh, God, that's the only good news.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brit Hume scorched Trump for previously telling Zelensky he had no cards to play against Russia. Brit Hume on Fox News said it certainly does establish
Right.
this country whose president was being told at the White House he didn't have any cards to play. He apparently had quite a few cards to play, including this daring attack. Hume praised the operation for wiping out a reported 30 to 40% of Russia's strategic bombing force. He said that's a major setback for Russia. It's an embarrassing intelligence failure, an embarrassing defense failure, and who knows what else the Ukrainians, who have proved pretty ingenious, may have up their sleeve. Can we just talk about how glorious this was, including him, of course, not telling Trump?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Malcolm?
Well, it's glorious.
Yeah.
Yep, you with me?
Yep,
Go
gotcha.
ahead. Yep, go ahead.
Okay. It's glorious in the sense that they didn't tell Trump.
Yeah.
Because telling Trump and Tulsi Gabbard is like calling Moscow and giving this information up directly.
Yeah.
This is a great mission. It's one of the great spy missions. This is a real espionage mission, not like the Israeli one, which was a great spy mission, but it was actually just getting into their supply chain. In this mission, they lived and worked thousands of miles behind Russian lines.
Yeah.
And by doing that, they were literally living as Russians in Russia and carried out this mission. You can't get any better than this. But let me tell you, straight move by not telling the United States. And if this took a year and a half, these guys have a deck of cards left over to play.
This is fun. Let's listen to a reporter in Caroline Levitt. Here we go. With BS Barbie. Here.
Audacious drone strike. Is he surprised? He said that Zelensky didn't have the cards when they met in the Oval Office a few months back. Does Zelensky possibly have some cards that the president hadn't known about?
Look, the president's thinking on the Russia-Ukraine war as it stands, I spoke to him about it just this morning, is he remains positive at the progress that we've seen. Again, he urged both leaders to sit down and talk directly with one another, and they did that.
Oh my God. You know whatever happens, he's going to try to take credit, right,
Good
Malcolm?
God.
Yeah.
What's the progress?
Yeah.
Where exactly is the progress?
Yeah.
This guy is progressing. I said this on BBC the other day. There are two things Trump wants out of this. He wants access to the hundreds of billions of dollars of Russian oligarch money that's hidden away there. And he thinks he's going to get a Nobel Prize. He really does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's getting neither. But you know what? If worse comes to worse, he'll just lift sanctions and go for that Russian money.
Can I just, the bag of rats part of this is so delightful.
Yes.
Steve Bannon demands that Trump pull all support for Ukraine because they didn't tell him about the attack, and also that Lindsey Graham should be arrested if he keeps stirring it up in Ukraine. He said if no one informed Trump, then the White House has to condemn this immediately and pull all support and tell Lindsey Graham, come home, or we're going to put you under arrest when you come home. You're stirring it up. Lindsey Graham's over there saying, hey, forget Trump. I got the House and the Senate, blah, blah, blah. If they did not give us a heads up, full stop, no minerals deal, walk away from all of it. I mean, and you had reposted someone who said, when you want Americans to be arrested for helping America's allies fight America's enemy, that can only mean one thing. You are one of America's enemies. Thank you.
Absolutely. Steve Bannon, I've been writing about this guy since 2016 as part of Kremlin's philosopher's crew. All right. He's not. Steve Bannon has all the knives out for American democracy. And in fact, the follow-on to what he wrote was, we should withdraw from NATO because Ukraine carried out this brilliant attack on Russia. Go figure. These people are all traitors. 25 years ago, every one of them would have been, every Republican and conservative would have called for those people to be tried as traitors. Now the traitors are in the House. They essentially have Moscow owns virtually everyone in the White House, including this new guy who is there to tear down Russian disinformation, married to a Russian. All of his social media shows that he's in favor of Russia. This White House is controlled by Moscow. So you shouldn't expect anything less than that.
Yeah. If you now, I don't know, are there card emojis? If you, I'm a lot more immature than Zelensky probably is, but I would just text Trump a card emoji every day for weeks. What I love is they played that disgusting video over and over again. You don't have any cards. We got all the cards. I mean, while he was planning this attack, right, knew this attack was going to happen. I mean, unbelievable.
I saw a meme that had a deck of cards, a 10, Queen, King, Jack, and Ace, and it said straight flush and had like a Russian airplane on each one of the, of the cards. Obviously, he's got a lot of cards to play.
Yep.
The United States, I'm going to tell you a secret here. We really don't know what Ukraine is doing. We give them intelligence, but Ukraine is smart enough not to share real secrets with us. Even in the Biden administration, we coordinate. But the effort you think that we're doing, like, spy agencies working hand in hand with them, no. They take data from us and they're like, okay, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Which is why when I worked for Ukraine military intelligence, they were like, yeah, just sit over there and think up some clever ideas and we'll get back to you. While they were out sinking the Moskva, right? So they like our help, but they're not gonna compromise themselves, because now you look, giant bag of rats that are willing to commit treason to hurt America's enemy.
Yep.